Hi, my name is Tasha, and today I'm going to go over 3 things that I wish I would have known about spiritual awakenings. Before I get started, if you're not already subscribed or following my channel, please make sure to do that. I would love to keep in touch. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more of these. Spiritual awakenings are kind of crazy, and I feel like not everybody understands them. Starting with number 1, spiritual awakenings are highly individualized. There are so many ways that you can have a spiritual awakening, and there are so many directions it can take. It's not going to model or mimic very many other people and their spiritual awakenings. My own personal spiritual awakening happened during the postpartum period. I had just had a baby. I remember being in the hospital and I was like completely delirious from all the stress. Like my baby was sick and was on some medications and was in the hospital longer than I expected. And I remember lying in the hospital bed and having like lucid dreams that were starting to happen, which I'd never had in the past. It was completely new to me. And I remember feeling when I was like falling asleep and like in that dream / lucid state, feeling hands pushing out from the hospital bed into my back. And it was like such a palpable experience. I was so scared to go to sleep. Eventually it stopped. It was a really weird situation for me. Then flash forward like a couple of months after that, after I had my maternity leave and I came back to work, I had met this girl. She was a new hire and she just randomly during training with me on the night shift starts talking about like tarot cards and chakra and energy work. And it was so crazy to me because within a couple of days of that, I had friends and we were all talking about like how Halloween's coming up and maybe we could all try tarot readings. And I was trying to get people to go with me because I was really interested. So it was like really crazy that I had been discussing it with my friends, and then all of a sudden this random ass girl starts talking about it. I don't know anything about her. Then I just out of nowhere started having this kundalini awakening. And for me, the experience was I was feeling energy. I was hearing and seeing people, and the energy that was happening in my body made no sense. I remember being so scared that one night I went and slept in my daughter's bed because I had no idea what was happening. I would hear people like walking past the door and talking to each other. I thought that maybe my husband had friends over that I didn't know about. He did not. It was insane. Luckily for me, that girl, she was able to send me in the direction of a Reiki class and a Reiki healer, and I was able to get a little bit of support that way. But yeah, most of the time when I was talking to people about spiritual awakenings, they did not have the experience I had. Mine was just a very intense one that not everybody has. It was a very individualized thing. My spiritual awakening, like before I may have been like a little bit intuitive, I definitely was empathic. I just didn't know what that was. But once the spiritual awakening happened, I started having clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, clairsentience, literally everything under the sun, some telepathy type experiences. So for me, my spiritual awakening just like opened the gate. I was not seeking it, just happened. That leads me to number 2. Spiritual awakenings are not one size fits all. The path is so different. People have their different preferred methods, their ways of relating to spirituality and awakening. It is never just one size fits all. It very much is based off of what resonates with your soul and what you're guided to. And so there's no like clear-cut path. It's not linear by any means. And sometimes you think you're falling behind, but you're actually like moving forward. Not linear at all. I knew people that had psychic gifts but were not spiritually awakened. And I also knew people who had been spiritually awakened and did not have any psychic gifts. It very much depends on the person. I personally believe that everyone has access to psychic gifts. I think it's just like a skill set that ends up being developed, but it's so different. Like I said, I went from having nothing to having all of it just within like an instant. And as my path unfolded, everything would expand more. Like it started with, I was getting into energy work, I was learning about tarot, and then I would have something happen to where now I'm having to learn about mediumship, and then I would have something happen and now I'm having to learn about channeling. And it was just like constantly like more is being revealed. And for me, it was very up and down. It was a roller coaster. It didn't feel stable. I would like have this peak and then I'd get scared of something and then I'd have to slow down and I'd stop and I'd turn off my gifts and then I would come back up and it would peak further. So it's so different for people. I do feel like a lot has to do with like what comes up for you when you start this path, because for me, I had like amazingness at the very beginning, and then I'd have scary, and then amazing and scary, and then I finally had like all this baggage, this emotional baggage that came up, and these repressed memories and traumas that I had to start dealing with to be able to really open up further. And that just has been my own personal experience. I'm not sure if that happens to everybody, but for me, my spiritual awakening required like some level of self-development. Third, it's not a one-off event. Spiritual awakenings do not happen once and then you're awakened and then everything's beautiful and you go along the path and yeah, like that's not how it works. People can have multiple spiritual awakenings, and I genuinely believe that the process never actually ends. There's always deeper that you can go. There's always more in tune, always more aware. There's always deeper. And it's not like you awaken and now everything makes sense, like you have all the answers. There's constant searching, especially on the internal, lots of internal searching more than anything. I had my like massive kundalini awakening happen right after the postpartum period. And then I had periods of time where I stopped, like I kind of gave up on everything and just tried to go back to normal life and it would come back. But I had like another massive kundalini awakening with my twin flame connection. I've had it when I get really tapped into my spiritual gifts. I have it happen when I really am working through some significant issues. But I have like multiple kundalini activations multiple times. Like it's not, that's normal, but it doesn't just like stop at one. So let me know how that lands for you. Like, what was your spiritual awakening like? Are you at the beginning? Have you been in it for a little bit? Are you having like reoccurring activations? What's your own personal story? Make sure that you follow and subscribe. I want to keep in touch.